Welcome back, friends, and happy summer solstice. This is a reading for the collective on the first day after the summer solstice. I'm recording it on the first day after the solstice, but I post these videos every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're new here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. I offer these readings for the collective not so much as fortune telling, but as storytelling, as a way to look at a situation in your life in a zoomed out perspective, a different way of looking at it. And I don't presume these to be prescriptive. I don't know anything really. I'm just offering you a different lens through which to look at a situation. So, if there is a situation on your mind or on your heart, I invite you to tune into that. And in a moment, what we'll do is we'll take 3 deep breaths into that space of that sensation. And when we exhale, we can make a sound, a groan, a moan, a hum, whatever feels most appropriate. And what I invite you to do as you're exhaling and humming and moaning and whatever it is, to imagine that sound, that motion carrying the energy of that situation through the screen, through your phone, through your device, and into the cards here. And so, feet flat on the floor if that's accessible to you, closing your eyes if that's safe for you, feeling into that sensation of that which you need clarity or a different viewpoint. And breathing in and out. Nice. 2 more times. Breathing in and out. Great job. And 1 more time. Breathing in and out. Hmm. A lot of energy, wanting to move. Summer solstice is a time of transition. And today it's raining, and it's a bittersweet kind of rain. Kind of like how it's bittersweet when the radio stations are still playing Christmas tunes after Christmas ends. But it can't rain all the time, and it can't be Christmas all the time either. One more. Okay. So it came out this way. We'll leave that Queen of Wands reversed. And maybe we'll start with that, actually. We'll leave that up there. Maybe that's a good way of looking at that. Mm. Hmm. All right, here's what we're going to do. So the Queen of Wands in reversed. Normally, this would suggest a blockage or a different way of looking at the upright position. I am viewing this as kind of a realization of the last reading that I did, or one of the last readings I did, about abiding in your own queendom, your own mastery, we could even say. And with it in reverse, this is you actively observing how it is you're showing up, not just in your mastery, whether that be something spiritual like energy work or tarot readings, but in all aspects. And this kind of echoes the I Ching reading I did yesterday for the solstice. Uh, Learning to not compromise. That was a theme of the reading for the solstice. But look at where you are showing up and seeing how you can show up in the most authentic way as you can. Now, going back to this queen witch energy, she's got the black cat here. Would it be appropriate for you to show up as your most authentic self if you were a witch, like in the typical witch garb, the hat, the broom, all of that? Would that be appropriate attire to show up to a settlement hearing or a board meeting? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I'm sure there's a way to make that outfit more corporate friendly, but you might leave the toads and the cauldrons at home, or you might not. That's what we're talking about here, as far as looking at how you are showing up in those spaces, and it might take showing up in a more authentic way first before you realize, okay, this isn't the space for that. And I'm reminded of this metaphor I use all the time of a garden hose adapter, the ones that sell at hardware stores, where one setting is the mist, another setting is just a straight stream, another setting is that flat stream, another setting is a shower. The water coming through is the same. It's all coming from the same hose. It's all coming from the same source. The only difference is, all right, I just need to mist these ferns. I don't need to spray them with this flat stream. So let me twist that and give them a little misting. Whereas, if you needed to, I don't know what the flat one would be for, like a pressure washer. Dove just flew by. Take that as confirmation. Um, Distracted by doves. Uh, all that to say is the water is still the same. You're still the same queen, even if you're showing up in a more digestible, approachable, understandable way. It doesn't decrease the efficacy of who you are or what you're being. And maybe these want to be the choices between the compromise. Let's see. Death in reverse and Six of Cups. Six of Cups is one of my favorite cards. I don't like to think of any cards as good or bad, but I think this one is a good one. This is the card of inner child healing, or at the very least, being in a position where you are able to give yourself something that you weren't able to receive at a previous time. So we've got this uh, child character here with this larger character. The book I have classifies this character as a dwarf. I don't know if that's a politically correct term, so I'm not trying to be offensive when I say that. I mean like the mythological Tolkien fairy tale kind of creature. Regardless of semantics and PC ness, this is the invitation to acknowledge that not only are you that witch, you are a safe witch. You are the kind of person who is able to give love and peace. There's lilies here. A bunny is right outside underneath the postal service van. So there may be a message of abundance coming through. That's fun. Thank you, universe. Uh, the signs are everywhere when we look for them, but truth is only found within. Hmm. Anyway, I know this card has come up before, and I love it when it does because it is that confirmation that You are that safe adult who is able to be there for those parts of you. It doesn't have to just be the inner child. It could be the inner teenager, the inner 20-year-old, the inner 40-year-old, whatever it is, whatever the previous version of you was, who needed something but couldn't receive it from the parent, teacher, or caregiver who was in charge of them, when, charged with taking care of them. You're able to do that now. And with the Queen of Wands in reverse, we were talking about how um, being digestible in certain situations. Maybe there was a time when you were seen as too much or too needy, or the reverse of that, not enough, not worthy enough. And with the Six of Cups here, it's that acknowledgement and invitation that you know, too much, or too flashy, extra is definitely a word that's been used to describe me. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you choose to augment that or tone it down for the specific situation. Um, because it doesn't detract from you, because it's not something that you're doing out of shame. It's not something that you're doing because a well-meaning parent, teacher, or caregiver told you to sit still and look pretty, or that you're too much. It's something that you, with the hindsight and the knowledge that you've gained on your journey, it's something that you're able to say, all right, what position on this adapter is best suited for this situation right now? It's not taking away from the inner child. It's not taking away from the essence of me. It's not taking away from uh, the H2O ness of the water. It's not making the water less wet when it's coming through the different adapter. The water is still wet. It's just you have the authority now to work with your inner child, those inner parts, to say which position on the adapter will give us and the situation the best results. And death in reverse, I really feel like, this is a very, I don't know if this is in any of the books. This is just how I'm reading this right now. This death in reverse makes me feel like this is a new life beginning, right? I know that's a bit on the nose, but with this kind of alchemy happening here between the Queen of Wands and the Six of Cups, you are empowered, you are emboldened, you are enabled by not only your what's the word I'm looking for? Your designation as queen, your station as queen. The queen, the big Q queen, that has endowed you with these powers, with this position. Not only are you empowered by the God of your understanding, you're empowered by the inner parts of you, the holy child within, that inner little one, that divine child. And that alchemy is kind of creating a reversal of all of the ways that you've shown up in ways that were disempowering or disauthenticating, inauthenticating you. So yeah, like I said, I don't think of cards as good or bad. I know death can be kind of scary when it's upright. This isn't so much as the end of something, it's when you've already made the choice to end something. So it's not actually stopping drinking or stopping smoking. It's I'm going to make the decision right now. It's that decision that has been made. And yeah, with it being reversed, even going off of that, this decision has been made. You're already embodying that choice. And that kind of goes back to the idea of the compromise from yesterday's reading of the I Ching. This isn't a compromise in, I think of how it was defined in I think it was the first episode of the second season of Stranger Things. Let me just push my glasses up on my nose a little bit there, um, where it was described or defined as halfway happy. Now, of course, if you want to be as authentic as possible, we can think of that as being your most happiest self. I've used this example before and I'll use it again. I love being naked. It is not a sexual thing, it is a freedom thing. But if I wanted to be my most authentic and walk naked down the street, like there's kids out there, people would have objections, understandably. But, as soon as I put this camera off, these pants are coming off. So every day when I go outside, every day when I interact with the world, I compromise my authenticity of nakedness to show up with at least pants on. And I'm using this as a funny kind of extreme example to show you that you don't have to, if you're compromising, going back to this, if you're compromising by wearing the blazer instead of the cloak to the board meeting, right? You're not doing that in an attempt to lessen yourself or dull yourself. You're dressing for the situation. You've already made that choice that this is how we're going to show up here. We have to ground our woo-ness in the material world because that's the world we live in. And God knows I am learning that lesson and continue to learn that lesson and knocking on all the wood that it's finally gotten into this noggin. That compromise doesn't mean you're less spiritual or less connected to the God of your understanding. It's just how you're showing up in a way that is palatable, acceptable. And if there is that kind of tug of war between worthiness and authenticity, that can be a struggle. And I'm finding that that is a undiagnosed quirk of my struggle. But you know, once you become aware, you can change it, and awareness is everything. So I put the other cards of the deck here because I wanted to look at the bottom of the deck energy because, like, all right, we have made the choice. We are going to show up in a way that it is honoring our inner child, but also honoring the space and the situation that we're in. So I want to see the bottom of the deck card, and you'll see it before I do. This is showing how this is going to be received or what it's going to be like as you embody that choice. Oh, the moon in reversed. Knight of Wands underneath that. So when we see the moon upright, we think of it as things done in the dark. And with this, it's interesting that we have this, again, this idea of duality here with the inner parts and the outer expression. We've got these two towers here. That's this idea of dichotomy, hot and cold, uh, yin and yang, that kind of thing. We also have the dog and the wild wolf, kind of that idea between domestication and wildness, freeness, wearing pants versus walking naked down the street. With it in reverse, though, and again, specifically for this reading, it feels like it's the moon is the only luminary in the sky that reflects light. She doesn't have light of her own. She reflects the light of the sun. And with this reversed, it's, the moon's also about intuition and everything like that. Things done in the dark, the things unseen, the collective unconscious. But with it being in reverse here, yeah, it just kind of speaks to that idea of you creating your own light, you acknowledging that you are your own source of that light. However you want to show up, you are how it is being filtered. I'm mixing metaphors here, but you get to choose which position on the hose adapter is the one that you select. You get to choose how the water comes out. You know that this glowing God essence is inside of you. You get to choose how it's expressed. And that feels complete. I'm being called to the Sacred Symbols Oracle deck by Marcella Kroll. I love me some symbols. So what is it that the folks need to hear about either this reading or this situation? Can we get a sign or something to look for? I mean, we had a lot of signs coming up here. We had the dove flying across. We had the bunny, excuse me, the underneath the van. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a moon thing. Lots of moons here. The moon might be relevant. I'm thinking of that song, Little Moon, I think it's called. My little moon. 45 reduces to 9 endings, things like that. What else do we have here? 13, 6, 18. Also reduces to 9, so we got 2 nines. Let me make sure that is 10, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 2 nines. We just had a new moon, so what do I want to say about this? It's not like, I mean, you could wait for the new moon to see a sign of this. That'll be in July by then. Where was I? Come back. Oh yeah, it's just this idea of like this is a beginning. This is a beginning phase. New moons are the lowest energy, the time when you plant the seeds. It's not the time when you harvest the bounty, the crop. It's a time of making plans. So you might be planning how to do this, and it might not really take root until the next moon cycle, the next new moon. Or you might want to set that as an intention, like for the next new moon. What will we be going into? I don't know what the new moon is yet. We just entered Cancer season today. So then what's next? Leo. Leo. All kinds of fun stuff happening with Leo in August this year. An auspicious time to start new projects. Drawing this card invites you to begin again. Yep. Meditate on this at the new moon to bring new energy into your life. There we go. Write a list of intentions, dreams, goals, and wishes to support new direction and invite in inspiration. So there's your homework with that. And then, I invite you to write that whenever you find that. And this is timeless. So maybe you'll find this at the new moon, but write down that list of things that you want to call in, or the ways that you want to honor your inner child without silencing them. And then whenever the next new moon comes around, review that list and see which of those you actually want to bring into reality, which ones you want to actually set those intentions for. We got to finish up with my boy Hafiz, the Sufi poet from 13th century Persia, modern day Iran, that just got $400 billion from the United States. We sure are making America great again, right? Iran got the money, not Hafiz. Hafiz has been no longer on this earth for quite some time, but I certainly feel connected to him whenever I read these cards. Create 16 turns into 7. Sevens might be relevant for you. And yeah, let's just see what it says. But I will say before we read this inner child stuff, that is a great source for creativity. It can be a wonderful joy creating. A synergy is there. The sweet, centering grit of purpose can move through your veins and make you glad to be alive. Now is the time to seek the nourishment of creation. The ecstasies and agonies of life are listless things until they flow through you, all chemically changing from experience to art during the act of creating. You are an artist, and life is your canvas. So, whether you choose to create a sculpture, a poem, a dance, a new thought, a fresh belief, or a unique perspective, you have the power to change the world inside and around you through your unique creations. Yeah, fresh belief, new thought, unique perspective. How do you show up as the Queen of Wands? How do you show up as the queen of your HOA? How do you show up as the queen of your co op? And how would that queen take care of the children of her queendom? I think we know that she would be loving unconditionally. And that is a beautiful thing to be. And that feels complete. So I'll leave it there and I will thank you for joining in today. This was a bit of a longer one. I see that. But thanks for sticking with us. If this resonated with you, give us a like, share in the comments what did resonate with you. And if you would like to go deeper, I have some exciting news. We can always work one on one. Oh, I'm seeing something here. Is it just me? Or do these, oh, shoot, do these towers right here in the back of death look like these towers? I'm gonna have to check my books and see if that's been pointed out or if I'm just late to the party. If you don't want to be late to the party, then I would be happy to do a personal one on one reading for you where we dive into the specifics of the story that your soul came here to tell. I'll leave a link to that down below. And I'm also going to be offering Reiki and readings at my studio, the Mythology studio in Lawrenceville. That's going to be happening this Friday. I'm going to be doing it every the first Friday and the final Friday of every month. So this happens to be the final Friday, and of course next Friday will be the first Friday because that's how those things work. So if you want to meet in person for a reading, I'll be there. But like I said, you can book online as well. And until then, my friends, I love you so much. I'm so glad that you're here. Take care.